So the Indiana Fever today are playing against the Atlanta Dream, and they're going for 4 wins in a row. And this is against an Atlanta Dream team that has not been looking good. Like, they have the potential to do this. Honestly, if they went and played the Wings, I'd be like 30-point win for the Fever easily. But I do think that in general, the Fever are really starting to fire on all cylinders, and they have I'm not going to say they have the easiest run in general, but like their next few games are still like they're not the worst. They don't have the single worst run. So like if we are looking at the Indiana Fever right here, I'm just going to get their fixtures up right now. Obviously they're playing the Dream tonight, and then they're playing the Chicago Sky on Monday. I cannot see the Fever losing to the Chicago Sky. I really can't on Sunday. The game is at 4 Eastern time. So obviously the game is tonight. I will not be live for this game tonight if you guys are wondering. But if you guys do want to see me live for the Chicago Sky game on Sunday, I am at a wedding today. Go subscribe to the channel. Oh my God, we're at 9.6k. I thought we just hit 9.5k, but we're 9.6 thousand subscribers. We can get 9.7 by the end of the day. That's insane. By Sunday, we'll hit 10k. But if you look at the Fever who they play Dream tonight, and then they face the Sky. Then they have a really rough run of the Storm, the Mercury, the Aces, the Liberty, and then the Mystics, the Mercury, the Lynx, and the Wings. So you don't know, by July the 17th, by the Olympic break, there is a possibility that the Wings actually have some of their players back. And a healthy Wings team is good. They're just missing a lot of their best players. But when you look at this schedule right here, there is a chance that, like, if they win, they need to win tonight, and they need to win against Chicago. If they can get to 8 and 10, they can afford to lose most of these games, and they're still in that playoff hunt. Because the Fever have had a really, really good record against teams below 500. Like, teams below 500, the Fever are 6 and 1. And you have to also look at some other teams, like the obviously the Mystics have a sub 500 record against everybody. Other than, who did they beat? I don't know who they beat in their first game. Was it the Sparks? I don't know, but they also beat the Sky. So they're 500 against the Sky. But the Sky have a losing record against teams below 500, and the Fever are 6 and 1, and the Atlanta Dream are another team below 500. And they are a team that struggling to deal with them. Like, if we remember the last time that these two teams played, it was when Aaliyah Boston went off for 27. Like, Aaliyah Boston in that game, you guys probably can't see it, but Aaliyah Boston went off for 27 and just dominated, absolutely dominated. Like, even Christy Wallace scored a few points. She went and had 6 points. Nalissa Smith had 10. Kelsey Mitchell 24. Like, it was Caitlin Clark, one of Caitlin Clark's worst games. More turnovers and assists, 7 points. I'm not sure if she scored in the second half. Was outscored by Katie Lou, but a 27-point, 13 rebound game for Aaliyah Boston led them to the win. And tonight, I think they do match up well with the Atlanta Dream. Because if you look at the Atlanta Dream's players, I think Aaliyah Boston's just physically going to overpower, like, a near 40-year-old Tina Charles. I think Nalissa Smith is tough for him to guard. They've got some players that can kind of compete on a bit on the inside, but not against Aaliyah Boston. And then, as far as their guards are concerned, like, Alicia Gray is good. Like, she's a very good player, but is she at the level of Caitlin Clark? Maybe, maybe not. And, like, this is a team where they really struggle dealing late in the game with, as much as they struggle dealing with Aaliyah Boston the whole game, they really struggle late in the game dealing with the Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark pick and rolls. That was a big time struggle for them. And this is a team that's going now more to the 2-man game. So it's a lot more likely to see Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston running that pick and roll now, early on in the game. So this is a new Fever team. The last 2 games, the Fever have been exceptional. Yes, should they have blown out the Mystics last on Monday? Monday, or was it Sunday? Whenever they played the Mystics, should they have blown out the Mystics? Or Wednesday? Wednesday it was, I think. Either way, they should have blown out the Mystics. They realistically should have blown out the Sky, even though it was a close game. If you watch that game, it should have been a blowout for the Fever. And they're still winning. Like, you know, when some teams are able to win they're able to win a lot of close games, especially against the weaker teams. The Fever execute really, really well down the stretch. So I can't see the Dream winning this game, especially because Ryan Howard's almost certainly out. Like, Ryan Howard went off. She went off against them the last day. So with Ryan Howard out, this Atlanta Dream team is not that much better than the Wings. Well, again, it's assuming Ryan Howard is out. Because like, you've got Alicia Gray, who's got to really, really step up now. And it's almost certain that Ryan Howard isn't going to play. So this is one of those games where you're like, okay, this is the weakest team the Fever have played all year. A Atlanta Dream player, with the way the league is, unless you're one of the top teams, we've even seen how bad the Las Vegas Aces have been without Chelsea Gray. When a team is missing their best player, there's like the role players in the NBA are significantly better than role players in the WNBA. Like, a team of role players versus will lose games by 45 points in the WNBA, and they might just mess about and get hot and win a game in the NBA. So when you're missing your star, it doesn't matter what team you are, it's going to be really tough. Like, the Aces without Asia Wilson could lose to a poor team. Like, the Sky without Kennedy Carter or Marina Mabry are going to really struggle. The Fever without Caitlin Clark or Aaliyah Boston are going to really, really struggle. Obviously, we've seen the Wings, who were one of the best teams in the WNBA last year, without Satu and without Natasha Howard for part of the year, how bad they've been. And we even saw last night without Siegrist, even though Howard came back, without Siegrist and Satu, they looked very, very bad. So this is a real must-win game, because if you can somehow go into this game against Chicago 7-10 with a 4-game winning streak, you go into Chicago where the emotions are going to be higher for Chicago than it is for you guys, because they need to win this a lot more than you guys do. And you can go into that really tough section of games where, look, the Fever are not going to come out of that. Like, they're not going to be 500 in that really tough set of games. Like, when you look at the players, the games that they play, so after these two games on Sunday, so if they win these two games, they're 8-10. They then, up to the Olympic break, face the Storm, Mercury, Aces, Liberty, Mystics, Mercury, Lynx, and Wings. Let's say they win, so that's what? That is 8 games? Let's just be like as optimistic as possible and say they win 3 of 8. They go 3-5. They still go in 11-15 going into the break, which means after winning 13 games last year, they need to win just 2 more games the rest of the year, and they still play the Wings like two more times. They still play I think they play the Sky again. They still have to face the Sparks again. They still have to face, they still have a lot of weak games. And, look, if this team wins 16, if this team goes 16-24, it's a successful season. It's their best season since Tamika Catchings. So that's really what you're looking for the Fever. But this is a must-win game. This is a real must-win game, because it's a game they should win. And in the defense of the Fever, other than the Sparks game, where I think Christy Sides just sitting Caitlin Clark for too long while they were up a bit and allowing the other team get back into it, I think that was the real problem with the Sparks game. At least I think that's how that game went. I think it was the Sparks game where that happened. Either way, like, coaching, it was a poor coaching decision that game, but otherwise, it's a team where you're like, okay, you go on a bit of a run, and heck, maybe with Temi Fagbenle to go 500 the rest of the year. If they can, obviously after the 1-8 start, if they can go basically 500 the rest of the year, then you're looking at like a team where you're like, okay, this is one of the youngest teams in the WNBA. You've got 22-year-olds. Your 2 best players are 22. Melissa Smith's a year older. And then you've got, like, Fagbenle is old enough. So Kelsey Mitchell's not particularly young, but also not particularly old. And you've got a super young team, and you're going to be quite successful. So, yeah, this is a very must-win game, because it means that they can afford to lose on Sunday and not have the Sky re-overtake them.